welcome to Emotional Sport Water Bottle with Hannah and Ailish.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ailish. Did you watch any of the Emmys?
No.
They actually weren't bad.
Yeah, no. Well, I feel like I don't watch shows.
The shows,
yeah, it's
I
like I
know.
don't watch any shows, so I don't know what's going on.
The hosts were Dan and Eugene Levy. I think it's Levy. Yeah, I think you're right. And they were good, but the Emmys isn't really one where they have a ton of host action. You know, like they're just kind of in there randomly, which I don't know if that's, like, is it helpful or not? Like, really, they kind of, like, the shows kind of run themselves.
I know. I think, like I feel like that's nice when you have, like, the opening thing, like, to have a host, but after that, it's like,
Just a new presenter comes out. Yeah, I know.
And they have their bits.
Right. But I thought, like, they were pretty funny, but being father and son and being, you know, comedy writers anyway, like, they have a good rapport and stuff.
Right.
So,
they have chemistry.
Yeah. So,
unlike James Franco and Anne Hathaway.
oh, my God. Don't even. The worst Oscar hosts of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it does make a difference when you have people that actually know each other and, like, can go off of each other.
They can just riff, kind of, you know? Yeah. It was, I think, I don't remember if I watched last year or not, but for the different kind of intros, like if it was for female lead in a comedy or something, they would have like a little set, and then the three kind of presenters would be there, and they were like famous female leads in comedies, and it was a set of like one of the shows, like they did one for Happy Days and like a man cave for like the TV dads, and that was kind of cool, like just something kind of different to break up the boring stage, but nothing was really crazy. That show, did you hear about that show Hacks?
I think so,
It's
but not really.
HBO show, so I'll never see it, but apparently it's really funny, and it's about like a 60-something comedian, and they won for the best series, and then they were the people who wrote the show, created the show, were like, we'd never thought that this would even get picked up because it's about like a woman of a certain age.
Oh, I have heard about this show.
But it did, and obviously now it's really successful. But those are the shows that are like so annoying because like I won't ever get HBO. Like
I'm never gonna see this really good alleged show.
Right, unless like 15 years from now it's on Netflix.
Right.
Like so, but and then the Bear one and that Shogun show one, but I mean, I don't know. It was whatever. I do kind of like the movie awards better because I watch more of those.
I know. I just don't watch shows these days.
Yeah.
And like, if I don't have that streaming service, then I can't even see that show anyway.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to watch it. So
Right.
I know gone are the days where I'm looking up the illegal streamer to try and watch the shows. That was just,
I know. It does
too much.
suck though when you hear everybody talking about like this really good show and you're like Euphoria. It was like couldn't watch it. And I remember we would like talk about it.
I know, we try to see clips on like YouTube or something.
I want to watch it, but we literally can't.
I know. We could, well, actually I saw that they have like a new HBO bundle with like Disney Plus and Hulu, but it's like $30 a month, which I just can't.
I know, it's like how many? I know, like how many? And I feel like I don't even get to use them as much as I want.
I know,
anyway.
That's the thing, and it's always like one hit show will come out, and then I'll be on like Hulu for like 2 months, and then a new show or movie will come out and I'll be on Netflix.
Right.
Like, I switch all the time. Well, not all the time, not enough really. Like I'm not ever watching every streaming service the way I should.
And like, I think Netflix is better about like, this is what's new. Like, we just got this, or this is our new movie. But I feel like I don't hear about any of the releases anymore. I'll like just randomly look stuff up. I'm like, how? I had no idea this was on this. I know,
same. You'll like see it one place randomly, and then you'll be like, wait, what? That's on there?
Like, how would I know if I didn't literally go to searching it?
I know. And even sometimes, I mean, we talked about the conspiracy of their top 10.
Right.
I'm convinced that that's different for certain people, because you don't even, like, you would think if a new movie or show came out, it would be in there because people want to see it.
Right.
But it isn't all the time.
I know, and they're so like, even when I listen to the horror version, they're like, well, this was straight to streaming, so we don't really know the budget. Like, they're so secretive
about it. I know. Even like I watched Legends of the Fall earlier. Like, I didn't even know that was on Netflix.
Yeah, it's like, where? Unless I'm looking for it. I know I just did that with that movie Barbarian. I'm like, I'm just gonna check on Prime. There it was. I'm like,
how would you ever have known?
Literally.
Even
like, you might like this, you know? Yeah. But even that doesn't help.
I feel like that used to be a better algorithm.
Yeah. That's like I like when it says because you watched this. Like, that makes more sense to me. I'm like, oh yeah, those are similar movies or shows.
Even with like, we both watched The Uglies this week. Like, I didn't even realize. I think you sent that to me originally. Like, I didn't know it was out.
I know. I literally, me and my son woke up sick. So I'm like, let's just go to the living room. And then I like opened up. I'm like, what should we watch? And I opened that up and it was on. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I guess we're watching it.
I definitely zoned out at some points in that movie.
Yeah, I know, like, I feel like it started out pretty strong for me, and then it kind of like some of the skateboarding thing, which was like cool if you're like
into that.
Yeah, it was kind of where it like lost me a little bit.
Yeah, and even the whole second half of the movie where it's like, you thought these people were evil? No, these people are evil. Right. And now she's got to save. Like, that got a little too...
I know. Like, well, it felt very like book to movie where there's like a rushed part. Like, because I'm sure, because I haven't done the book, I keep delaying it because it's a series. And I'm like, I'm already in another series.
Oh, how many are there?
I don't know.
So there's going to be more seasons of it, or more sequels.
I guess if it does good.
Which I'm sure it will. Wink, wink.
But yeah, so I keep delaying it. But it just had that little bit of rush. Like, I'm sure in the book there's a ton where they're at the, what do they call it? The shoe? No, not the shoe. The smoke.
Oh, in the smoke, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there was a ton more about that.
Okay, but I kind of wanted more about the pretty place.
Yeah, I think one of the second, because you know, like at the end where she like turns pretty.
Yeah.
Then I think that one of the next book is the pretties.
Okay.
So I think you get more of that.
After I watched that, I saw a TikTok from Jake Shane, and he's like, I know that this isn't the right thing to say, but if there was a procedure that everybody could get when they turn a certain age that would make them pretty, I would 100% take it.
It's an awesome concept. Like, I mean, that, I feel like you could really freaking dissect.
Yeah, you could definitely.
That, and it's like, even, because I know like the AI was interesting, but I do feel like that would be what it like it gets so like, it's like the Instagram face now, like you would get to that point where it's so perfect that it looks bad.
Yeah. Well, and some of the girls in it looked like normal, beautiful.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah. Where it's like, and I feel like that would happen too. Like, not everybody is going to be ugly. Like, they're still going to be conventionally attractive before they turn pretty. So they're going to be extra pretty.
Right.
Like, so it's like kind of, I mean, it's like a cool concept. I don't know about how well it was. I bet the book or like,
it's kind of well, I know it's like we can't fully judge because we haven't read the book,
Mm-hmm.
but it's almost kind of a shame that it's meant to be like a teen fiction,
Right.
because I think that there's so much more that could be
I know.
like really like kind of intense themes
I know,
that you
like,
could explore.
get in there. I
Yeah.
know, like it's like even with Joey King's character, where she, what was her name again? Ellie.
Squint.
Oh, Hallie. Oh, Squint. That's right.
Squint and
I know.
nose.
And that was even kind of a cool thing too, where it was like your like little ugly trait was like your nickname, because you knew like it's gonna go away.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is kind of like an insane. Like I can't even imagine like growing up and be like, I'm gonna be so beautiful.
I know.
Like it doesn't matter what I look like now. In the way they're in the rooms and it keeps flashing up
I know.
what you would look
It was kind of
like.
interesting though, because like it seems like they could like kind of pick and choose their variations, and I almost feel like it would be an interesting concept if it just like didn't allow you to choose.
Yeah.
And then you just were made a certain way, but then like you could not like it. And then
Right.
that would be a whole nother thing.
I know. Or would it? Yeah. And it's like, in the end, it's like they weren't actually prettier, which is kind of like a cool
Yeah.
concept. I mean, they like were, but they weren't.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a cool concept too.
I know, it just looked so cool over there too. Like
I know,
the
where they're
city
just
looked
partying.
unbelievable. I mean, can we
know.
just dive deep into that? Like they gave us the tiniest taste. Like I don't want to go to the smoke. This is horrible. I don't want to be myself.
And I know it was so. I know Yeah, I feel like I think I gave it like 2 stars on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't
because it was like all the pieces were there for it to be good,
Yeah.
but it just kind of like wasn't.
Well, it lost
that.
my attention
Yeah,
too.
there's like kind of like that lull in there. Like I think that I get like the skateboarding, hoverboarding thing needed to be in there because that's how you got to the smoke.
Yeah.
But I feel like they could have just had her like steal that friends
Yeah.
thing, and then that's how she got there. I think we could have did more like background stuff.
Yeah.
Or like maybe see.
Well, you know what
Chase
else is
Stokes.
kind of weird? Like how Joey King's character was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get reunited with my parents," and then all of a sudden that was just thrown out the window.
Right.
And she's just like, "No, I don't want to be pretty. That's bad. I'm beautiful just the way I am." Like, wait, so like,
You're abandoned by your parents, but I guess they must. And that's not really explained, but I guess they just grow up like accepting that their
but
parents abandoned
it's kind
them.
of weird too. I mean, I'm sure in the book it explains that, but they just showed us that one clip of her parents dropping her off at the ugly
Like,
school
"Don't
or
worry,
whatever.
You'll be pretty.
Yeah.
When you're pretty, we'll talk to you again. It's
You
like,
will
what?
be reunited in like 10 years. Yeah. But that was weird. They didn't even explain anything more. It was just like she was in this dorm by herself.
I know.
And they're all in gray.
Right. I know. I think that like visually was cool to see like how the lighting of the way they filmed it like really washed them all out, and then they were in like these ugly outfits and unflattering hairstyles.
Did Chase Stokes have prosthetics to make him ugly? Because I couldn't tell. That sounds kind of mean, but I don't mean it in a mean way.
I know. I was kind of thinking about. I feel like they just. Like, I feel like they darkened his hair. He had like a wig on or something, like both times.
Yeah, because the blonde isn't him either. Because when they said, "Oh, I've got this big honking nose," I'm like, is that your real nose or not? Like, I really couldn't tell.
Right, and it's like, I know, because it was kind of like, are the actors in on it?
Yeah.
Like Joey King, because it's like people are kind of mean about Joey King's looks.
I know.
So I was like, is she like, she's in on it and then he's in on it?
Yeah.
Like they get that they're not, because people even say stuff about Chase Stokes. But I was thinking about him the other day. I'm like, I feel like in the real world, like growing up in his high school, he was probably like the hot
oh yeah,
jock
for sure.
thing. But then on camera,
Yeah. It
his
doesn't
face,
read.
yeah, it's like kind of intense.
I don't know what it is. Like, I don't think that he's unattractive.
No, he looks like he has filler.
Yeah, and he probably does,
right,
honestly.
to an extent. Yeah, and maybe it just like isn't, because I feel like I only watched season 1 of Outer Banks.
Mm-hmm.
He was attractive, but then it's like he almost has that like androgynous kind of
Yeah,
look,
he does.
where his face is like a bit feminine.
Mm-hmm.
He's very interesting looking, and I think he did work well for this.
I agree. Like,
role.
him as the pretty.
I'm gonna look at before and after.
Okay.
That's be
Well, I mean, now that we're talking about it, him as the pretty version of Paris, it was like perfect.
Yeah,
because
like
he was that female or that male Instagram.
Yes, like it worked so well.
Yeah.
Here's a before and after. I mean,
so the before is like the beginning, like Outer Banks.
I don't know, because these actually look like the same kind of. I mean,
It looks like he got a little bit of work done. Or
Yeah,
maybe like definitely better skincare.
yeah, because I feel like that's like Outer Banks. Like that looks more like that bro-y type.
Yeah. Okay, now we're into Joe Keery. What? Yeah, it still is like his look is almost
It's
too
perfect.
Yeah,
but where
also
it doesn't register right. Like kind of like Bella Hadid or like Dove Cameron, where it's like I can't register the perfectness. So.
I mean, yeah, because well, they've both obviously had some work done, little bits and pieces, but yeah, it's almost off a little bit, and like, you can't put your finger on it.
Yeah, you're like, it's like,
well, and it's so hard with men, I think, too, because I think we were kind of led to believe at one point that they didn't get anything done, when in reality they all have been getting things done.
And when
I can't even tell what's old and new.
I
at
know,
this point.
like I'm like, okay, he's next to her, but that could be a promo thing.
Yeah.
And if they grow a little facial hair, that changes their face too. And like the older they get, you know, the like thicker.
It kind of looks like he's maybe had a better skincare routine, maybe a chemical peel. He probably has a little bit of Botox.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking he's got some kind of something, because
I don't think he's actually had major work done.
No. But like there looks a little more like.
Yeah. His eyes are kind of uneven.
Yeah.
But anyway, not to rip on him.
No.
I mean, we're not even really ripping on him.
I know. It worked for the movie,
Yeah,
though.
it totally
like
did.
The casting. I think even Joey King's casting was really good, too.
Yeah, the only thing that threw me off was how they're supposed to be playing 16-year-olds, and they're not even close to 16.
Especially Chase.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's not a new thing, but it's just kind of different now, because I don't know, like, we weren't always aware of how old people were.
Right.
And now that, like, we've known Chase Stokes for quite a while, we've known Joey King for even longer, like, we know that they're not 16.
I know. And I think, like, because I know I was just listening to a podcast and they were talking about Jennifer's body a little bit, and they're like, everybody says the kids look so old now, and then they're like, but we were led to believe that these two were teenagers. But I kind of still could see like Jennifer, Micah Fox and Amanda Seyfried being that age, even though I knew they were older than teenagers, but they had more of a like normal look.
Yeah.
And I think we're so used to seeing like young people looking older because of like work, like influencers, not like in the real world. Like the kids still kind of look like kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, I don't know, when we were younger, and maybe it's just because of our young perception.
Right.
But like, I remember being in grade school, middle school, and seeing like the high schoolers,
and they seem
and being like,
old.
oh my god.
Well, even the 8th graders,
yeah, they seem so much older.
Were like so old.
But don't you feel like if you ever see like on TikTok or something, sometimes they'll have those flashbacks and it'll be like, this was what it looked like to graduate in 2006. Like, I think that they look older than the teenagers
I'm like,
now.
they look like they're in their 20s.
Yeah.
But they're 18.
Because we're all just aging so much slower these days.
I know. It is like,
It's weird.
It is weird. And it's weird the way the faces change over the years, too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's like the way we look. Like, if you look at a Victorian painting, it's like people don't look like that anymore.
I know.
And it's, I don't know.
It's the like anatomy of that.
Yeah, we're like our evolution.
Yeah.
Like our eyes are going to get bigger because... or maybe they'll have to get smaller because the sun is, or the atmosphere.
We're taking in too much like light, too much screen time. We need tiny little eyes. Yeah, it's kind of interesting though, just thinking about the casting again, how they know that those two are way older than 16, but they still choose to cast them.
We're gonna do it anyway.
Like where they're not younger
right
kids.
And I was thinking too, they got Netflix people.
Well, I think that you're right that Joey King, Nicole Kidman, like that they
Chase
yeah, because Outer Banks was Netflix too. They have contracts. I'm totally believing
or they're
it.
like, you're easy to work with.
Yeah.
The things you're in do well.
Yeah.
Because I even thought that too. There was like some of the 13 Reasons Why kids would like do more Netflix stuff, and it's like, what's his name? He was big in All the Boys I Loved Before or something. What's his name?
Noah Centineo.
Yes.
Whose, side note, is making a resurfacing. We haven't seen him out in quite a while, and then he's been seen out with like 3 different ladies in 2 days.
But he was in a ton of that stuff too, and it was like they're like, well, you're easy to work with. You bring in money.
Or remember and this could be because it was under the same, like it was Netflix, but also same like production umbrella. The like Haunting of Hill House. Yeah. And what were the other 2?
The Bly Manor.
And the one about that island and the church thing. I can't remember what that one was called.
I can't remember either.
But those had like basically all the same cast.
Right.
And they weren't sequels.
Right. Or what's her name from Hill House and Bly Manor, and then she did You.
Yeah.
It's like they just
keep using people. I know. It's interesting. So I wonder if it's
like, do they have their own management company?
Yeah. And are they just like, okay, like Netflix, we know how to get in and get out. Like this won't take you that long. Pencil it in.
Like maybe you're working with the same producers.
Yeah. It's kind of,
I know. I'm like,
makes you wonder.
I know, because this is like another like big movie for Joey King this year that came out.
Yeah, because the other
Family Affair.
Yeah,
Fair.
And that was only a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So
good for her.
I mean, yeah, I know, right? She's raking it in. It was like fine, but I probably wouldn't recommend it to somebody.
No, maybe like a teen.
Yeah, like it's that I've heard people say that the teen dystopian movies are coming back. I'm like, well,
I saw a lot on Letterboxd. People are like, we wanted dystopian, but this was not what we want. It did really bad.
Okay, we need to just talk about Letterboxd
now that we're pulled up, because there are insane.
Just are feeling. So now I do need to get a Letterboxd. I should get that, but when I watched Legends of the Fall, I was just curious, what rating does this have?
Bad.
Yeah, horrible. Same with A River Runs Through It.
Yeah, every movie that's good, like I've learned that any movie I think is good is about a 3.4.
Yeah.
It's like,
to me, I'd be like, do I want to watch this? Like if I saw
that'd be mid.
Yeah.
But like, I know, I guess if you're like thinking about it, like a 2.5 would be like an okay movie, right? But that sounds low.
Yeah, but if it's just on a scale of 5,
it's like
that's like the midway point.
Yeah. So you're saying that there's movies that are so good, like literally, like I'll look some up real quick on my Letterboxd, and these are like outrageous.
Here's my theory, though. I think that some people just bandwagon.
I know, they're just being turds.
And if somebody says like, okay, like just Legends of the Fall, for example, which I'm sorry, that is an amazing epic. It's a great movie all around. And someone's just like, 2. Then I think other people are like, oh, well, I can't rate it good because then it's just
thought about that too.
Typical and like normal to love this amazing movie with Brad Pitt and Anthony Hopkins that has a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Like it's too cliche to rate it well.
Yeah, like literally, it says 3.5. Let me see these horrible Legends of the Falls.
Yeah, and all the reviews are like, it's just Brad Pitt.
I know.
No, it's not.
Literally 2.5 stars. Girl, pick a plot. I know Brad Pitt looks good in anything, but in this movie, he looks particularly good, and I love it. Like, that's your insightful.
Yeah, that's why you gave it the rating you gave it. Literally. Like, when you write one, like, how much do you write?
It depends. Some of it, like, in the beginning, I would try to write, like, a lot more and, like, try not to be too, I don't know, they're probably cringy. But then some of them I don't really, so, like...
Because I mean, nobody wants to read a like 3-paragraph review, but
yeah,
like I think a couple sentences, like
that's
3 to 5, is appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I guess we got a couple of long ones in here.
But sometimes you do have to explain.
And then some I'm just like The Invisible Man. I was like, this was very stressful. Like.
What's like like look up The Godfather.
Yeah, like let's see. Now that one might do good. Like then there's those certain ones
people that you can't rate them poorly. Right.
And it's like any movie that men really love.
Yeah.
To be like
I know, but it's true.
But it's like then okay, see that got a 4.5.
Yeah, okay, I would expect that.
Yeah, it's like anything that guys like and that are classics to guys, I feel like are rated highly.
Well, what about The Notebook? Look that one up.
I guarantee this one's bad.
It's probably a 3.
Oh, the 3.7. I'm shocked.
Okay, I mean that's higher than.
Yeah, and it's highest because like it's got like the highest thing is a 5.
Okay, well that is.
Right, that was a shocker.
Yeah.
But I think Titanic isn't that good.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
I know. Like, are you
the Titanic?
3.8.
Okay, but why is that the baseline? Like, I'm sorry.
It's like, why is it's
it.
better than a 3.4?
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, I guess like it is weird because like a 3 stars shouldn't be bad.
Right, like that should be a decent movie. But sometimes I get my head about rating them too because I'm like, did I enjoy these two movies the same?
Yeah,
and you're
that's
like, well,
true.
I liked this one a little bit more, but then it's like I can't compare a horror movie to The Uglies.
Right,
like that's not
totally
really fair
different.
either. So then I've been trying to be like, how much did I personally enjoy it?
Yeah.
And not worrying about it because literally nobody's...
Because they can't really be on the same scale.
No.
Look up It's a Wonderful Life. That's one of my favorite movies ever. If this is rated bad, I'm walking out.
I know. I feel like this one probably is
That's got to be
good.
at least
I
a
would
4.
Think, 4.4.
Okay, thank God. All right, so we have a little
I know.
bit.
I'm like out here. But like some of the reviews and stuff
are absurd.
Like
if you're going to rate something low, you have to give your reason why.
Even if it's just, I just didn't like this.
Yeah.
It's like.
But at least tell us why you didn't like it.
Yeah, like what is this? Okay. This is for Inside Out. It's unfortunate that I'm 19 now and still have a tragic vampire romance island. It's like, haha, like I get it, but like
that's not a review.
No,
that's
and
a
it's
TikTok comment.
Literally. Then it said this one, 4.5 stars. A24 island incoming. Like, okay.
That is not a review.
Then this 4 stars. I believe in Bing Bong supremacy or supremacy.
Yeah, that's not a review. None of those are reviews.
4.5 stars. This is a documentary. 3.5. I know we've all said the dad is hot, but it's
those
like
are
what?
Just like these
it's
are
so
kids
nonsense.
on here. I'm
yeah.
sorry. You can just tell because that is a TikTok comment section.
Literally. 3 stars. Emotional terrorism.
Letterboxd is supposed to be for novice film critics.
Like even like it's just like, what even are you saying? Like there'll be some good reviews.
Yeah.
You have to weed through all these comments to actually get something good.
Yeah.
Instead of like just nonsense.
Well, how is it? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, how is it? I guess in my mind, the point of it was supposed to like kind of inform others a little bit of like, hey,
like
these are good, and a fun thing of like, these are movies that I'm into.
Right.
But like, how could you go onto Letterboxd and actually read those reviews and think, yeah, I do really want to see this, or no, I'm not going to bother.
Right. Where I'm like, what does the emotion, it's like the dad is hot. Like what in the world? Like that doesn't help me. You're right. When people are too hard on movies too, I'm like, okay, you didn't like it. Like I think for that, what's it called? That one week. Oh, Kinds of Kindness. Mm-hmm. I gave it a 1.5.
Well,
which is really low. Didn't like and I literally said the acting was phenomenal or something, but I just didn't like it. Like it just wasn't for me. And I feel like that's a fair. Like I'm not saying you have to like every movie or give it, so many stars because other people like it and you don't. But it just feels like some people want to be like, well, I didn't like it.
Right. And I know.
And it's like, take a movie for the time too.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to rip to shreds a movie, it's like, yeah, it's not going to be as good as what we watch now, but you don't have to rip it to shreds.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just like, but like, obviously you can like, but it's like, theoretically, every movie is stupid,
Right,
so it's like, why, if you're going to be like that,
Yeah. It's like, what's the point?
Right, of even enjoying films. It's like some movies are just bad, but it's like,
or some movies are literally just supposed to be mindless entertainment,
right? Or like gross out, or it's like, take it for what it is.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
And some movies aren't for you. That's fine.
Right.
I get annoyed too. I think we talked about this. I don't remember if it was on the podcast or just between us, but when the people feel like they're major cinephiles with their Letterboxd, and how they'll like interview people, like usually celebrities, and they're like, they have a top 5, right? What's your Letterboxd top 4? Oh, well, I'm going to have to say foreign
super
film, obscure film by an American director, classic that everybody loves, and a wild card. Like there's the formula. And I just think that that's dumb. Like to me, that's not endearing. No. Tell me what your real favorite movies are.
What do you watch? Like I didn't know that was what you're supposed to do. So I literally have like my favorite movies that I watch multiple times.
Yeah, like that makes sense.
Right. And it's like I could even interchange them for other movies if I wanted to, Yeah. And it's like my favorite movie isn't always something I can watch all the time too, because it's either super emotional.
Yeah.
Or just too intense and you have to be in a mood. But then there's some that I can just watch all the time and it just never gets old.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, I don't have to be like cool.
I know. I saw when they were doing promo for Beetlejuice, Catherine O'Hara and what's her name? the girl
Jenna
Ortega. Yeah, they were together doing press, and the interviewer asked him that, and Catherine O'Hara's were like, I can't think of any that either of them said, but hers were movies that I knew.
Right.
And then, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And then Jenna Ortega did hers, and it was literally, she's like, well, I have to do 5. And I didn't know any of them. And I'm like, maybe you are really into film, and I think that's great, and it makes sense because you're an actress and stuff, and you should be into film. But I'm just like, really?
Are those really your favorite movies?
Yeah.
Like, you don't just sit on the couch and watch Step Brothers.
Yeah, like, come on. Like, everybody has a stupid one in there. Like, if we're being honest. Right. I mean, come on. Don't play with me like that. And then especially, it's almost like the interview felt like a little slap in the face because Catherine O'Hara went first, and then Jenna Ortega is, like, spewing off these random freaking movies. And it's like, jeez, are you trying to, like, make her look bad?
I know, and it's like, she comes from a generation where you couldn't just, like,
see a foreign film anytime you wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, cinema is different. Like,
yeah.
you actually had to go
to
see these movies and go multiple times. Like, it's so crazy to me when people talk about, like, oh, back when this movie came out, I went to go see it multiple times. It's almost like unheard. You mean I have to pay $10.50?
I know you would never do that times? Today.
No. You're like, well, I'll watch it now, and then in a month when it comes out on streaming, I'll watch it again.
I know. And remember when it was like the Titanic, and I don't even know what other movies, like pretty much any big one, people would be interviewed. It's like, yeah, I've seen it 10 times already. Like, that would never ever happen today. Nobody would do that.
Never.
What are your Letterboxd top 4?
I think How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Actually, I have to double check.
I mean, that's such a good one. I haven't seen that in so
good.
long.
I know, but it used to be on all the time.
And I had the DVD too. So.
I know.
That's just the most classic rom-com.
I know. It's just so good. They're so good to look at. I had Jennifer's Body, although she couldn't be moved. I had that little existential crisis after I watched Ginger Snapped. Big Fish and Titanic.
Those are good.
I know. I like all
I've
those.
never seen Big Fish.
Oh my gosh.
That's an emotional one, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, yes. But it's so sweet too. Like, you can watch it with kids.
Yeah.
It's like about actually, I'm curious what that has.
Yeah, give us the rating. Now, are all those ones that you rated 5 stars?
Since I haven't watched them that recently.
You didn't.
They're not rated on my thing. But this one would get 5 stars. This has a 3.9, so that's not too bad.
Almost a 4. It's really touching a 4.
This is kind of funny. IMDb trivia. Every single drop of water in this movie is one or more of my tears. It's about this, like, guy, or the son and this father, but he's like an adult, and he's about to have a baby, and his dad is starting. I feel like I'm gonna cry talking about it.
Don't.
Hopefully I won't. He's like he's like sick, and they don't know how much time he has, and the dad's like, this isn't how I die. I saw it in the witch's eye when I was a kid. And this whole time his dad tells like all these crazy stories, and the adult son's like, why is he doing this again? Like, it's so ridiculous. I used to believe him, but they're stupid. So then, like, through the movie, you like when he meets his wife and just like all his adventures. And then when it finally gets to the end and he's dying, the son finally, like, they're at the hospital. He's like, tell me the story about how I die. And then he like does it. He's like, well, then we get into I put you in the car and then we're driving. And then it's like showing you that, but they're just in the hospital. But then it's like the mom and the dad, like, they have like a romance. Jessica Lange's in it. She's the mom.
Love it.
I know. And so they had like such good chemistry as he's like passing away, and oh gosh. But anyway, he's like, this is what happened. He's like, you were just a big fish in the little pond. And then they're like, and all your friends are there. And then he they're like, and then I set you free, and then he like dies.
Aww.
It's so sweet. But then at the funeral, some of the characters like come to the funeral, but they're like a little different.
Yeah.
Like there's like conjoined twins, but they were just regular twins.
But then
and they
you
were
can
there.
see how they were in the
like
story.
some of it was true. Like you kind of still don't know what was true and what wasn't, and then it's just so sweet.
Aww.
It's just such a sweet movie. I love that movie. And I love showing it to people and they all cry. But it's just like he didn't care anymore that the stories weren't true. He just loved his dad. Anyway, it's a cute movie. Such a cute movie. It's Tim Burton. Anyway.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, what would you do? I feel like... I know, I was trying to think of other ones. Like, I think... But for a long time, I really did like... And I still do love Jennifer's Body. Like, I used to watch that so much. So it's kind of like... But also, like, I really like Pearl, but I've only seen it once so far. So it's kind of like... Is that
How do you compare it?
Yeah. Like, can that be in the top 4?
I would definitely do It's a Wonderful Life, because that's probably like my all-time favorite movie.
Well, and then there's like the whole like Christmas movie thing, because some of those
are amazing. Like White Christmas.
Right.
I love White Christmas. Like those are like both old movies, but I could probably do Legends of the Fall or A River Runs Through It interchangeably. I would probably say A River Runs Through It a little bit over Legends of the Fall, but like I freaking had a little meltdown watching that movie. You forget like how
powerful
hard it hits.
I know, and how powerful some movies are, and how much different they are as an adult.
I know, really. Like,
you're like, oh god.
Do you remember when did we watch that one or A River Runs Through It, or did we do both? It was in our religion class.
Was I in that one? Because I feel like there was times where certain classes would do movies, and then like if I was in it like wouldn't. I know, or like we'd do something different.
I'm pretty sure it was, I'm gonna name drop, I don't think it matters, but Father Brickner's, remember we went to a Catholic school, everybody? It was in his religion class.
I don't think I watched a movie at all in that class.
That doesn't make any sense. Why would we watch one?
Was it a study hall?
No, it was class.
Was it freshman year?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think, unless I'm just not remembering it.
Or maybe it wasn't that class, but I remember being like in the like basement level. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember watching that one. The only movies I remember watching, but I'm sure there's probably more, was like American History X, which is also a great movie. Yeah. My dad's rated. That one's a great movie.
That's probably rated high, I bet.
Right, and that's a hard watch too.
Yeah, we watched that in our like... It was like World Religions or something, or Morality. No,
Morality. It might have been
Miss
that
P
one.
did that one. I thought.
I think I did it with the.
I thought Morality was Miss P, and
what was the other religion class?
I know it wasn't like World Religions was one, but then there was another one, wasn't there?
Where we did like stigmata, talked about stigmata.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Maybe it was our World Religions.
It's too far
I thought it was something about culture.
Oh, is it religious culture?
No, we're just making up classes.
It was definitely.
Where's our transcript? We need to see.
4.1 American History.
Remember we had to get a permission slip for that one?
Because of the curb stop trigger warning.
That was
curb stop.
Too late. We always do our trigger warnings too late. As soon as we said American History X, you should have known.
So, if you haven't seen it by now, and you haven't heard about that, then...
Yeah, there were other movies that we watched.
Was it Braveheart? Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was a good one. That was so
good.
Emotional.
See, that's one I probably just couldn't watch again.
I know. I agree. Did we watch Schindler's List too?
So what do we watch that in? The religion class?
I don't know.
I think that one was.
Probably because it's Jewish.
Okay, there was a class or a religion class, but I don't remember which class it was, where we did watch a bunch of those movies.
Yeah, and
I think
it was
we watched
Mrs. Foster's
class. But
It was basically all movies. And we had to like answer questions and then dissect it or write something. I don't remember.
I don't remember what that was called.
Me either. I'm curious.
Well, and then we watched a couple in history class, and that was The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, and then was it Braveheart?
Probably.
It was one of those. What's that other one? Or The Patriot. Maybe it was The Patriot.
Oh, maybe it was The Patriot.
But other than that, I don't remember watching like...
I remember, I think it might have been Legends of the Fall that and I don't know why we would have watched that. It had nothing to do...
I just remember my mom loved that movie because of Brad Pitt.
Oh,
I love. We had to watch it all the time. It reminds me of
Michigan.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's
so
like
beautiful.
so beautiful and holds a place in my heart. But it's such a good movie. Like those are the things. And then obviously we just read Ed Zwick's book, but it just makes me look at acting in a different way. You know.
I know. I really have kind of like in just being older and like. It just feels like the art isn't there anymore. Know. So when I do watch these older movies in like this new light, I'm like, oh.
So good. Like it is so powerful, you know? And that's like with the uglies, like I can't sit here and be like, okay, but the acting, right? You know, like I feel like I could probably learn those lines and star in that movie.
Or they could have got any kid off the street.
But like with the emotion and like all the movies we just talked about, like that is for real. Like you have to dig deep and really act your butt off.
Right. Like, and it's like, you know, people made fun of Austin Butler, but it's like, at least he gave his all and didn't give a half-butted performance.
Yeah. I love how we're saying. I don't think I've ever heard half-butted.
I don't know. This is a rated PG.
Yeah, we're not explicit here. That was so funny. But no, I mean, it just doesn't feel like many actors take time. And you don't even have to be a method actor, but just take the time to really get into the emotion of your role and like the backstory of your character, and it does really show.
I know. That's why we're not getting a ton. I mean, there are some good stuff coming out. You just kind of have to weed.
Yeah, there's a lot more kind of bad stuff or mid stuff that you have to work through. I would also put The Departed on there. I could watch that movie anytime.
It's just so good. And the back and the forth and the rat.
I know. I love it. The cast is unbelievable.
I know, like, can we have another movie with Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio,
Jack Nicholson? Like, we'll never have that again.
See, that one's a good one, too. There's like a category in my head where it's like boy movies that I really like. Yeah. But it's like, can I put that one on there? Because it's not like the vibe.
I don't know. I'd probably, maybe like 13 going on 30 would be like another one. But I feel like that too. And How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days are pretty interchangeable.
Right. So it is kind of like, okay, well, which rom-com do I put in there? Which one of this do I put in there?
It's really hard to get only four.
I know. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, but I love that movie. Oh, but I love that movie. But that movie's just like this one.
I know.
So it's like...
And you brought up an interesting point, because there are, like, thinking about even some... Like, I don't watch a lot of foreign films, but some that I have seen that I really, really liked, but I've never seen them again. So it's hard.
You're like, I love it.
Yeah.
But can I say it's my favorite movie if I haven't seen it more than once? Like, where's that standard?
Yeah. Like, there was one, I couldn't even tell you what it was called, but there was this really, because I went to college at the University of Cincinnati, and down a little bit away from the campus, there was this really like kind of indie movie theater. It was so cute, and I would go there by myself and watch some of these movies that like I wouldn't get an opportunity to see anywhere else. And there was this, I think it was a French film, and it was about this older couple, and the wife passes away, and then the like husband is like beside himself, and he doesn't really know what to do, so he just kind of like leaves her in the bed. Like he didn't want to like bury her, have her not in the home, so he just like left her in there. And then like it was a really long time, and then I think his daughter came over and then found, you know, what that she had passed and stuff, and it was so emotional. Like it was so beautiful,
right?
And me explaining it it sounds really freaking weird and gross,
but it
like wasn't.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
On some list of.
I know. I mean, you could probably look up
I'm sure
French
it's on
film where wife dies. But it was so beautiful. The whole thing was subtitled. It was beautifully shot, beautifully acted. Like it felt so real, but I've never seen it again.
Right. And you're like, wait, I don't know.
Would that really be a top?
Yeah. And then there's some that I've seen a few times that I really like, but can that count?
Yeah, when there's so many other movies that I've seen, like
more.
the ones that we all just listed for the two of us, we've seen multiple
right.
times. Yeah.
So it's like, what is it? Because I really like The Descendants with George Clooney.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so good. You know, like there's all like these that come up, and you're like, what? This is
Ocean's 11 is one that I like.
Good.
That's in the boy movie category. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I want to know what the name of that movie is because I could never guess. I wish that we had one of those movie theaters around us.
I know.
It must have been like 2013, maybe. I bet.
Ooh, I think I was too vague.
All right. Well, we can update our audience. And let them know if we find the name of this movie. If you even said it, I think if you said it, I would remember it. But it was so freaking beautiful.
I know.
And we don't have like those movie houses around us.
No.
You know, are there any around here?
That I know of.
Okay, so probably not.
Well, and that's what used to be fun about like Blockbuster and Family Video is because you would sometimes get those movies, or they'd have like the old movie section where they were like those classics, and it was nice to like be able to see them like, oh, I've always wanted to see.
Yeah, but that's what's annoying now is maybe those movies are on a streaming service, but we don't know.
Unless you literally are thinking of it right there and then.
I know, and even then, like if we went into Blockbuster, we would see these movies that we totally forgot about or something, or didn't even know existed, and we're like, oh, that sounds good. But like on Netflix, it's hard to find.
And even if you go to like dramas, you're not gonna get every single drama,
one. Yeah,
but you think you are.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're like, well, these are the most popular, so these can be an option for you to see.
You literally have to search it.
Literally.
Yeah, and then I mean, how do we know what we don't know?
Right.
You know, I don't know. Anyway, that was
Let us know what you think about Letterboxd culture.
What would your top 4 be? And don't use this stupid formula. We want for real top 4s. Well, I don't think it would be good for us to not bring up Diddy.
Oh, yes.
There's been some crazy
and I did see that his bail got denied.
Thank God. I mean, what did he say? 50 million or 10 million?
I don't remember.
It was double-digit million. I mean, no. The only reason why you want that is because you know
you're going down.
Dun, dun.
It's
just, and then I didn't listen to this, but Charlemagne the God on his radio show was like, is he Breakfast Club or is that different? I feel like it's different.
I think it's different. It's that that's another thing I totally like.
I forgot.
Radio shows. I just don't even listen anymore.
Well, it's just because it's podcasts now. Actually, to like side note off of that, on Smartless, Howard Stern was their guest, and I don't really care for Howard Stern, but I can respect how he got where he is. But, you know, he was talking about like his Sirius show, and I'm like, who's listening? Like,
he must have like fans that have been listening to him for the years. Decades. Yeah.
But even like Radio Andy with Andy Cohen, like, who's listening to this?
I know. Is it worth your time?
To subscribe to Sirius XM when we have like Spotify, where I don't even know. I mean, I've like had premium for a while, so I don't even know how many ads pop in, but it never used to be that many ads. And why would you pay it? Because Sirius is kind of expensive.
Yeah. I just can't picture it being like worth, like, who do I need to listen to that bad?
That I need this.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can go back to Diddy, but Charlemagne the God was saying anybody who was involved with this he's like, you're going to jail. He's like, just know right now, if you ever were partying with Diddy, he's like, you're done. And when people like that, and not that I believe every single solitary thing, and I don't listen to his show all the time or anything like that, but when he says something like that, like, he's an insider,
right?
You know,
he's got the dirt.
He would know.
I know.
Like, it's nasty.
I know, and it's probably gonna go on forever, be a whole thing.
But not to be a hater or so negative, but I kind of want these people to get taken down.
Like, finally.
I mean, I'm tired of, like, with the Jeffrey Epstein thing, like, it was been drug out, and we were
and they kept
told
saying
that
she
all
was
these
going to
people,
squeal and ran everybody
and
out,
we
but
were
we'll
gonna
never
get the
get
list,
that. Yeah.
and it's like an alleged log from the plane was put out there, but nothing's happened to anybody. It's like, I know, want and then it was these like, sickos to get put away.
And even with like Chrissy Teigen and all that, like, no, we never were on the plane and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, with Diddy though, it just feels dark. So, oh my God. Like, the fact that they're saying that they had to give girls IVs because they were so wore out, they were dehydrated.
Well,
I mean,
even just those videos with Cassie of him, like, I mean, those disgusting. Are like horrifying. I can't even imagine what
else was going on. What a good time looked like. I mean, seriously, and all that, that these huge name people were involved in stuff like that.
I know. And I remember watching like Making the Band back in the day with like Aubrey O'Day and all that, and that's like he was, but. At the time, too, you're like, well, that's the industry. Like, he is going to tell you that your hair looks like crap. And that's not who he signed and blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of like it is, even though Aubrey O'Day is an interesting character, it must be frustrating when you're like trying to tell people how horrible somebody is. And they're like, shut up, bimbo.
Because
like,
you're not really the most reliable narrator. And then it turns out like,
you were wait, she was telling the truth. And I can't imagine how frustrating that must be.
What was that? They brought it up on Juicy Scoop. They were talking about the Dave Grohl thing, but was it Courtney Love that, like, back in the day when she was in some movie and an interviewer was like, what was some advice that you would give to other, young stars? And she's like, don't go in a hotel room with Harvey Weinstein. And people were kind of like, good one, so crazy silly. Courtney. Yeah, but like, hello, like, that was a warning.
I know, and you almost do have to start to believe that they are trying to like do that thing where they make you sound crazy. Like, it sounds like conspiracy-ish, but it's like, no, they really will like rip you to shreds. Well,
when things like this, when the truth starts coming out, then you have to kind of question.
You're like, hold on, what did that person say again? And why'd we totally ignore her? Oh yeah, because they let her have this horrible reputation. Yeah. And it's like, no, that guy wouldn't do that, or ha ha ha.
But at the same time, I mean, if we just Courtney Love, for example, she didn't have a great track record,
No,
you know.
she may or may not have had filming.
Yeah. So I mean, we were skeptical
Right.
of what she had to say.
But then it's almost like, did they maybe they go like crazy because of
these
what
things
happened to,
and not being believed.
I know, because
or
I
whatever.
was just thinking about that today. Because I was thinking about Aubrey O'Day again, and I don't know, maybe it was
She
because of
just
that.
randomly comes
into your mind. I freaking loved her though on that.
I know she was so pretty too.
She was, but I was thinking about, remember when she was like at that, I don't know if she was at a resort or something, and she just like looked
horrible.
Yeah. And it was like this whole showy thing. And I was thinking earlier, I'm like, why do you, if you're going through a hard time and you're like in that like C-list celebrity face, you have to look like you're going through a hard time. Like you have to look, or else people won't believe that you're having like this hard time. And I was like, what is that? And then I'm like, well, maybe they really are freaking going through a hard time.
Like legitimately.
Because of this abuse that they've like encountered and like getting blacklisted and stuff. Like that's gotta, like, even with like Amanda Bynes, I was thinking about her when I was thinking about that too. I'm like, but why'd she have to, like change up her appearance like that? Yeah. And then you're like, well, maybe, I mean, maybe there's a reason. Like,
well, because look at, like, okay, we could just pluck a random drug addict out from the country and, okay, what's your backstory? There's probably some trauma in there, whether it be from abuse or childhood trauma or PTSD or a mixture of everything. And what does that lead people to? A lot of times it leads them to self-medicate, or it leads to some mental illness. And then, your looks kind of get put to the wayside. Like,
and it did, like, it just felt like it became like a trope with like that C-list, like, I was really famous and then I kind of like
fell off.
Got like, and like started partying and then like fell off, and then people didn't take you seriously anymore.
Lohan.
Yeah, and it's like nobody cared what you had to say. And you, like with the Lindsay Lohan, it's like she had her whole career just like destroyed.
She like imploded. And now she's crawling back, but it's with Hallmark movies.
Right, and it's not the same.
No.
And it's just like, oh, there was some validity to why they were looking like that, because it always felt kind of like performative.
I know, it did.
And now I'm like, oh, actually.
But speaking of Aubrey O'Day, some of it did seem performative with her, because some things were just so over the top. Like, remember when we would see those paparazzi pictures where she wasn't looking great, and then she would post on Instagram and it's like a clearly heavily edited photo, and she's trying to be like, no, this is real. You're like, what's going on?
It was a cry for help.
I know. I mean, gosh.
Anyway, I guess we should start listening to those crazy girls.
I know, right? Like they're telling the truth about
pretty much everything at this point.
I mean, when we think back on it. But it will be interesting to see if the charges against Diddy are pretty heavy. It's pretty bad. And it seems like this has been something that they've been working on for quite some time, because I don't think that the feds would do this if they didn't have a pretty
good stuff.
Yeah, pretty good case. But it still is interesting to wonder, I mean, is he going to be, like, is justice going to be served here?
Because you never know. You just never know.
I mean, people probably said the same thing about OJ, and look what happened there.
Yep.
Acquittal.
Yep.
So
if it didn't fit,
you must have quit. I think it's so crazy that we were like super young, like infants, when that end of the trial was happening and stuff. But it's like that rang through all of our households for so long. I remember my grandparents being mad about it.
Enthralled the whole world.
Like, it's just crazy. And obviously now, like, we know so much more because we've read books, listened to different interviews and stuff, seen the shows.
Kris Jenner's book is quite the... Anyway.
I do want to read Faye Resnick's.
I know.
That would be a good one.
Morally corrupt.
The morally corrupt Faye Resnick. Oh, it's the morally corrupt Faye Resnick.
You know, who did the Playboy shoe after her best girlfriend. Anyway.
Crazy.
Speaking of that, did you see any of the stuff with Alexa Nichols recently?
When she was mad at... Who was she mad at?
I can't remember the person's name. I know, like,
she say something about It Ends With Us?
Well, there's been a couple of things that have been circulating around.
Okay, what's the most recent thing?
Well, I keep trying to watch videos, but I'm like a half uninterested. But it does sound like she... Well, that's what happens when you make yourself the moral police, you know? Then people, they're like, well, actually, you're not doing the best job and you're taking, you know, people's stories. I'm not like following it too clear, so I guess I don't have a ton of information, but it just sounds like it's kind of backfiring on her. And then I was watching that Adam McIntyre, and he was talking about, and I had listened to Jamie Lynn Spears' book a while ago, but she hadn't, because then, you know, she had come out and said that Jamie Lynn and Brittany were like mean to her and blah blah, but Jamie Lynn kind of had like a different version of the story. But then somebody else came out again and was like, no, Alexa Nichols' mom is really difficult to work with. And that's kind of what Jamie Lynn said, but nobody believed her because of the Brittany stuff. And it was like this back and forth thing. So then that was being brought up again.
Didn't she also make a comment about the father of Jamie Lynn's baby?
I can't remember.
I thought she did, but I could be thinking of somebody else.
So I guess she's in hot water.
Yeah,
again.
but because she's had something to say about everything. And
I know, and that's what happens when you do that and you put yourself up on this pedestal, and people are gonna rip you down. Or if somebody's not cooperating with your narrative, you are gonna get, you know, frustrated.
Well, and I loved Zoe 101. I thought that was a great
it was
show.
Such a good. I mean, it was just like perfect.
I know, it was
show.
It was so sad when that ended.
When she got pregnant.
I know. I mean, they could have worked it into the story.
I know, like give her a big purse.
Yeah, like
or
they do with everybody else.
Could have just
maybe she transferred and then came back the next year.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, generally speaking, I think Alexa Nichols is irrelevant.
Well, and it's like she kind of like tried to spin the narrative that like Jamie Lynn wanted her off the show.
And that's why. But
and then I was listening to the video, and she's like, well, I just had, you know, such a bubbly personality, and I guess like, and I'm just so happy, so I guess I just, you know, didn't vibe as well, or
which
whatever.
Is so interesting, because every single thing I've seen of you recently is not bubbly or happy or kind. So, but the only thing that's making her stay in any type of headline is her complaining about other people.
I know, and it's like her cause initially at the heart of it was good, but if you have to like the media, like you have all these encounters with all these people, like I get like sticking up for young kids and stuff, but it's like in the industry, but
she just takes it way too far. Yeah, you don't need to be involved in all these different things. We don't need your opinion on every single injustice.
No. Okay, so it looks like she must have did like guest starring stuff on different shows, but there's not a ton of stuff on here, because I'm like, well, if this like ruined her career. But it seems like, you know, it's relatively low stakes, consistent.
Well, but also, like, what does it mean that your career was ruined? The main thing that
I don't know if she's, like, saying that, but
the main thing that you were on was a teen Nickelodeon show.
I know, and she was probably literally, like, 11 or 12.
Yeah, they were, like, legitimate teenagers. And how many kids that are in like a Disney show or a Nickelodeon show or whatever, how many of them actually become big actors? I mean, not like if you take in the grand scheme of it all, it's not like every single person that was on a hit show from the early 2000s or mid 2000s became super famous. So I mean, it could have just been that she just didn't have it, and it just didn't happen for her, and it could legitimately just be that and nothing to do with anything else.
Right. And it didn't look like she had like a ton of like kid acting, but maybe in some of those shows she was like a kid actor.
Yeah.
But that's where her like, I don't know, but it just sounds like it's starting to come back around.
Well, it always does.
To eat you. I know. It always does. Comes and bites you right in the butt.
They'll find your one imperfection and blow that baby out. like 100%. That's why if you comment on anything, you better have a perfect track record yourself.
You better not have a Twitter, Facebook.
You better scrub those if you do have them. Oh, I wanted to talk about, I don't know if we've talked about it on the pod, but we're planning on going to the Renaissance Festival here in Ohio. Yes. And so our TikTok has been not like flooded with Renfest stuff, but like things will pop up every now and again. And one thing came up, and it was like when you've been at the Renfest all day and you forget where your car is, and then it panned to the parking. It was like insane. It's literally just fields and people are just parked, and as far as the eye could see, it was cars.
We're gonna have to take like a picture or something.
I know, we're gonna have to like drop a pin where the freaking car is.
I know the more I because I watched a couple like YouTube videos like what to expect, and I'm like, this is like intense.
I know.
I don't know if we know what we're
getting into. I know. I mean, and like my friend was telling me, because it's down in Southern Ohio and her mom kind of lives by there. She's like, yeah, the traffic was crazy.
I know, that's what they were kind of saying too. And I'm like, and then we're like, what time should we leave? But it's like, if we're going to have to wait in line anyway, because there's no way we'd ever be the first person in line.
Yeah.
So it's like, or do we, or like, how long are we waiting? And I'm like, I don't know. I get a little nervous.
I know, me too. And I almost wonder, I mean, I don't know if it's too late now, but should we have explored the idea of getting a hotel on Friday night?
I know. I thought about that too when we were like doing the thing. I'm like, maybe we should have did that.
Because then we could have.
And just came home.
And then it wouldn't have really mattered if we were like 30 minutes away because we would just be driving there.
Right.
But I don't know. It's probably too late to do that now. Yeah. Because that is the thing. We're going to be in. We're going to be in full costume for a 3-hour drive.
Had me like in my head, I'm like, should we not be in full costume? Like, I definitely want to take something for the way back, like sweatpants and a t-shirt.
Change. Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know, like, because the main part of our outfit is just the dress. Or whatever. But I know, I'm like, I don't know.
And I mean, part of me is when it showed people changing in the parking lot, I'm like, well, will we have that much privacy? Because there's just a million cars parked everywhere that we could just change into our dresses.
I know, because I mean, just like under the shirt, over the pants, and maybe it'd be fine.
I know, because honestly, I don't know if we're going to be, like, we can definitely just have our hair and makeup done. Yeah. That's not a big deal. But to be in those dresses for that long would be kind of uncomfortable.
I know. I'm like,
Because yours has a slit. Mine does not. I don't know how this is a freaking baby shower dress, because that is not breathable. I was so hot. I had to turn my fan on when I tried it on. I'm like, this is.
I know. I'm hoping the weather. I think it's too early. I'm like
to check.
It's like
not
too bad. I know, and that's the other thing. They're like, it is so hot. They're like, make sure you're doing this. Like, they were giving all these tips. I'm like, I'm getting nervous.
I know.
But we can always do it our way too.
It'll
like we
be
don't have to
fun.
be like intense. And when I was seeing like the little like shops, I was like, oh, I can't wait to freaking stroll around and all this. Because I was picturing just like booth things,
me too.
but they're like fully set up little shops. I'm like, oh, that'll be fun. But I will say, I'm a little disappointed because I saw videos of Cassian and Azriel.
Oh.
They did not look the way I pictured.
Oh no.
Their costumes looked good from what I could tell, but
no.
that might actually crush my soul. And maybe there'll be somebody else dressed up as them.
Yeah.
But I seen them and it's like Cassian had blonde hair.
Oh no.
And Azriel was middle-aged.
Oh God.
I'm like,
no. Where's the youth?
Where's the Middle Eastern beauty?
Oh,
Anyway.
well, okay. Absolute worst comes to worst. If it's so slammed and we're just like overwhelmed, we can just get food and sit at a little bench and people watch.
I know, that's what I thought too. And people were saying that they used to not do like certain amount of tickets being sold and you could just come. But they said they did, do the cap thing, but that people still felt like it was kind of crowded, but maybe it's not as bad.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just have to see.
I'm like, why is this such a big thing?
I mean, the picture or the videos that I've seen, it doesn't look like there's a billion people.
I've seen both. I've seen where it's looked kind of intense, and I've seen where it's not been as intense.
We're going to have to stick together.
I know.
We can't lose each other.
I know. I'm scared. I'm scared. I know, but maybe, I guess we'll learn our lessons. 'Cause, it's almost a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, I know. I think we're going to have to get changed when we get there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because I was like, even unless we like had ourselves like kind of unzipped and then just like had it up against us.
Yeah, I think for our comfort level.
I know. And then I was like,
especially if it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I'm nervous. Like 3 layers on mine.
Oh God,
it's gonna have to be like on a wedding night when your maid of honor comes to the bathroom with you. It's gonna be me and you in a stall. Yeah, it's a lot.
I know it is a lot. Yeah, I definitely think that we're so focused on the hotel that night that we should have did the night before. Now it's kind of like might be too late because of my kid's situation.
I know.
Now my husband is getting home late that night.
Oh no.
So
how
of course
late?
out of all midnight.
Oh gosh.
So
well, we'll probably be up just like chit-chatting.
I know, maybe we'll watch one of those movies. We can peruse Prime.
Yeah. Yay, since I never get to.
But yeah, I was like, I don't know. I'm like,
yeah, we may have bitten off a little bit more than we can chew, but it'll still be fun.
I know. I'm still looking forward to
Me too.
it. If anything, just to like, it's just fun to dress up. And
yeah.
Especially around like Halloween.
Yeah, for sure. And then after this is done, we're full blown Halloween mode. Mm-hmm. We're going to have great, like these aren't going to be last minute costumes.
No.
We are going to do it legit this year. Yeah. So get ready. I don't think we want to do a reveal yet.
No.
We'll wait. Well, maybe you guys can try and guess.
Yeah. We've talked about it on the podcast.
Yep.
But not saying that it was our costume.
Yeah. But if anyone can guess it, that would be kind of awesome.
I would. And you?
Engage with us, please.
What would you have us be if you had to pick?
Well, we asked a while ago and people didn't.
Crickets.
Yeah. So it was just too early. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Anyway. Also,
Salt Lake City, I think it starts tonight. Are you going to try and keep up with that?
I don't know. I'll have to gauge the reception.
Yeah. I mean, people like, I didn't even watch the trailer. I feel like I just keep missing these trailers, but I've heard that there's a lot of drama, but I know this is going to sound kind of mean, but I saw somebody say it on social media and I think that it's right. I like Heather Gay. Like, I liked Bad Mormon. I'm probably going to read her next book too. It comes out in December, so let's have some time for that one. But they really, like, she's had this makeover, which I think she looks good, but I just don't think that she looks, like, I'm so shocked by her new look.
Yeah, she does look like... It's such a complicated...
But it's not just the weight loss.
Yeah, I know. And it's just like, I thought she looked good before.
Me
and
too.
then it's like, especially if you're seeing somebody on camera, like, just like, you know, somebody's video recording them. It's like you actually see what they look like.
Right, I know.
Versus like what you're seeing on Instagram and stuff. So it's kind of like this really strange... It's just a really strange, like, dynamic of like... But you look good before, but now you look like a totally different person. I know. And it's kind of like...
It's just shocking.
It is.
It feels like now that she had such a pivotal moment last season with receipts, timeline, screenshots, that they're really pushing for her to be the new star of Salt Lake. And again, it's not that I don't like her. I do like her, but I don't like it when they like try to force something like that. And then it just seems so like, is it coincidental, or does she feel almost like, well, now that I have this new shining role, I need to look a certain way.
Right.
Like, is she feeling that pressure? Or because I saw a picture, one of her daughters, I think, goes to Florida for college, and they were there for mom's weekend or whatever with one of her other daughters. There was one picture, I am not kidding at all, it looked like the three of them were teenagers. And I had to do a double take that, no, that's Heather, that's the mom. Yeah, like, and that's like just very different from how she looked before.
Right.
And again, she didn't look bad before. I thought she looked good.
It's gotta be so hard, to see yourself like on camera like that, and then to be like, then have comments about how hideous you are.
I know, and I don't think it's well, helpful isn't really the right word, but to have how she has basically like a med spa, like she owns that. So anytime something new comes in, well, heck yeah, I'm going to try it, or I'm going to do it because I own this place. I can, you know. I mean, that's a nice thing to have on at your disposal. But yeah, it seems like it's gone just a little too far, where when the one time after the season was over and she was on Watch What Happens Live, like, she looked different, but she still looked like herself and looked really good. And I feel that she should have just stopped there. Yeah.
We'll see.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to watch it live either, especially I think it's on Wednesdays and we're always recording. So I might bank a few episodes and then binge it, and then bank and binge.
I know.
The unhealthy habit.
But it's like, oh, well, if I didn't watch TV these 3 nights, then I can spend 5 hours watching TV one night, right?
I know. Do you have any other
No, I think that was
topics? Okay. Okay, guys, it's no secret that Hannah and I have a sweet tooth, but we hate the guilt that we feel after we've binged on some of our favorite cookies, donuts, or other treats. So that's where Dough comes in. Dough is an edible cookie dough company that also has donut holes and some delicious chocolate hazelnut spreads that you can eat and not feel so guilty afterwards. These treats are made with extra ingredients that are good for you, gives you extra energy, makes you focus more, and the best part is that they are vegan and gluten-free, which is so amazing and something that you don't find all the time. And sometimes when you get vegan or gluten-free products, they taste vegan and gluten-free. But these cookie doughs and donut holes do not skimp out on the flavor, and they are so delicious. We have tried the cookie dough raw and baked, and it's good either way. And one of our favorite new donut holes are the collab donut holes with Chamberlain coffee, and it's the cinnamon sugar, and these are just so amazing. You want to eat them with your favorite cup of coffee in the morning. They're just so delicious. And the best part is that they come with some extra vitamins in there to, get your day going and help you focus a little bit more. So if you want to try these vegan, gluten-free, and delicious products, you can go to Eat Dough, and that's spelled DEUX.com to place an order. And if you use the code WaterBottle15, you can get an extra 15% off of whatever you order. That is dough, spelled DEUX, and use WaterBottle15 for 15% off. All right, well, I guess we can get into OC. We kind of talked about this episode before I think either of us even watched it, because hearing different things, or maybe you had, I don't know, and then it took me until yesterday to finally watch it. Like, I just felt like I couldn't stomach it for a little bit.
I know, it was rough with Shannon.
Mm-hmm. It was. So they're still at this beautiful trip that Heather has planned for the family equality. And we pick up where we left off, where Heather and Shannon are together. And then Shannon's just like, I just don't think I can go to dinner like this. And then Heather offers her full glam squad. Of course Shannon can go to dinner. She comes
in there like, oh, okay, I guess
I can do this now.
It's just like, again, it's like what we were just talking about with like people going through something. You gotta look really bad so people believe that you're going through something.
And there was even a shot where they said something about like Shannon being down and out or having a rough time on this trip, and then they like cut to Shannon in the makeup chair, and she's just like like looking terrible, I
know, and just being like, and later she's like, I don't have a hairbrush.
Yeah, like what?
What are you talking about?
No, are you kidding me, Shannon? And also, your houses are literally feet from each other. Hey,
I'm on
Emily,
camera.
Do you have a hairbrush?
Yeah,
like, that's not unheard of. Come on. So while that's happening with Shannon, Emily goes into Alexis's room and kind of confronts her about her behavior and the videos and everything. And this is, again, where we're just going to, I think, disagree with the majority of people out here. But I feel that Alexis was giving very valid points. Mm-hmm. She's like, and she wasn't being combative or aggressive. She was just like, you don't know both sides.
And she has said, she's like, I'm not going to do stuff that's going to try to get her upset.
Yeah, especially that weekend.
Right.
So, yeah, and Emily really just didn't want to entertain any of that at all. And it was just annoying. And like Emily kept saying like, well, why would you bring up the video? Okay, well, if we're going to go there, Katie was actually the one that disclosed the details of the video. Yeah. Like nobody else talked about that. Yeah. And we were totally shocked to hear Katie even
that was the
say,
first time I even heard about it.
I thought it was just going to be like, oh, these videos are bad, but we don't know what they are.
Acting all drunk. Yeah. And I was like, oh, never mind.
So I don't think that, I believe obviously that Alexis did tell them, but nobody was going to bring it up on camera, and then Katie did. So I don't think it's fair to just put all that on Alexis. And then, of course, she's emotional because I can see how it is difficult on her too. Right. And I'm sorry, but like if you're in a relationship with somebody, of course you're going to defend their side, you know?
Right.
Like
that's the side you know.
Yeah. So then she ends up just staying in her room and doesn't go to dinner, which honestly was kind of big of her to do that. in my opinion.
I think it was too.
And while all that is happening, Shannon, Tamara, and Heather go to the restaurant a little bit early, and they're kind of at the bar. And Shannon orders a Belvedere soda.
Right. I just think it's bold to do that on camera after you get in trouble for a DUI. It's like, whatever, on your own time. But to just like do it in front of the camera is crazy. And I agree with Tamara where she's like, no, well, she's going to keep getting the drinks, because then if she doesn't get the drinks, then it's going to say that she's has a problem. Yeah. Or it would be totally normal. Like, people would totally accept if she were like, I'm not going to drink right now because, you know, I got in that trouble and I just need to like have a clear headspace. Like, nobody would say anything.
People would totally understand that. Yeah. I think that it is also bold when basically the whole season so far has been about the fallout from this DUI. It's like, it's not like it's not being talked about. It is. And we continue to see you drinking
away when she was at the restaurant with Tamara. Another episode, just drinking away.
And then the fact that she
drinking away with her dad.
Yeah, and then she had to justify it to herself. She's like, it's just been a tough day.
I know. I'm like, well, that's not a very good coping mechanism.
Yeah, like, I don't. And why do you feel the need to say that? Well,
it's all part of the performance. Yeah. Like, I believe she's stressed out, but it's like, why do we have to be so?
And rightfully so, right? Like, there's a lot of things that are happening that are stressful, but maybe
you wanted to put the whole show on.
Yeah, and also,
I believe you.
If you're going through a stressful time, and then you had this accident, maybe it is a good time to take a little break, you know, or find another way to cope with your stress. Try meditation or something. So Tamara calls her out on that in the confessional. It doesn't appear that anybody said anything in that moment. And then they get ready to go, or they all come to dinner. At one point, there's a flashback of John saying how much he loves Shannon and that he's never felt a love like that. That was when he was at dinner with Shannon, Tamara, and Eddie. And the thing and then Shannon was like, you know, I feel like I was played, basically. The thing that I feel about that is just the way that you feel after any relationship ends. Like, you replay all those promises and the sweet things that somebody said, and it's like, okay, yeah, some people are total just sociopaths and liars, and they will just tell you all those things. Yeah. But other times it's true in the moment.
Yeah. It's like you probably did feel that way in the moment. You always do, especially in like the beginning.
Yeah. You know, everything's amazing. You're going to be together forever.
I know. And then sometimes things go bad.
Right. I mean, could you even name like even if it was like a fling with somebody where you weren't totally like love struck for a time? Like, I can't. Like, you, and then something happens and you're like, oh, I see this in a different light now, or my feelings have changed, you know, like, that's normal. And I don't think that it means that you're stupid and that you were played.
Right.
So I don't really know what that was supposed to prove. Then she just gets really mad and leaves the table. Jen follows her, and she's literally screaming about John and Alexis. And then she tries to say that she knows how he is, and he strategizes, and he used to do this with her. But then she gives no examples of how he strategizes. And
it was like, that's kind of embarrassing for you, Shannon. Yeah, like, why were you letting this guy play out your storyline?
Especially when you've been on the show for so much longer.
And it's like, okay, I don't know. Like, it just feels back to like having the Vanderpump moment.
Right. Like, but at least when that happened, when Ariana like called him out at the reunion, she had examples of, you know, like, I believe that happened. Shannon saying that John was like, look at what we have. People wish that they could have what we do. That's not strategizing.
I know. It's like, yeah, you do want the person you're with to say that. Like, you do want to feel, I don't know.
Or, I mean, from the outside, like, Are there times where I wish I was a Real Housewife? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would wish that I had that. That doesn't mean that anybody's like manipulating me into thinking that. It's just that, like, yeah, that would be pretty cool if that was my job.
Right.
Like, duh.
Right.
So she's literally screaming about it. And Jen is kind of just staring blankly, like unsure of what even to say.
Yeah.
And then they come back to the table and Shannon goes, guys, I just want to have a good time tonight. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But then she proceeds to bring it up like again. 5 more times.
Literally.
And people are even like, I thought we weren't
talking about it.
But she cannot help herself. That's what we've said this whole time.
I know.
She just cannot keep his name out of her mouth. Then Katie brings up yet again. Oh, first of all, I think that was the end of the dinner. And then they kind of do the next morning and then a flashback, which the crazy night out that they had after the dinner must have been a total flop because they only showed that one clip. Like, that's lame. But then Katie says, I think it was to Jen again, that she wants to try to talk to Heather about the whole paparazzi situation yet again. And even Jen is like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, it's poor Jen. Over well. Katie just cannot stop with the Heather thing. And then they are kind of splitting up again. And half the group is doing like a, what'd they call it? Not a like nature bath or something.
Sound bath.
Nature bath, meditation.
It actually looked relaxing.
Yeah, it did actually.
I really want to do a sound bath.
I think it's definitely a housewives trope, but if you did it in real life, I think it would be pretty cool. And then the other half randomly went to make biscuits. So Shannon is with the group that is doing that nature bath thing, and everybody's like, or Heather comes up and not coming. She's had a rough night. I don't want to start rumors, but it seemed like maybe she was a little hungover.
But she had a fever from the stress.
Or maybe she was just overheating from the alcohol in her system. I also have gotten flushed from. But and Shannon, if you had a fever, you should not be coming around.
I know,
friends.
that's why I was like, a fever?
Yeah.
I don't know, let's see. And then I was like, did she take her own temperature?
Oh, she didn't bring a hairbrush, but she brought a thermometer.
Like, what?
So she does not come, and then she ends up showing up later and is a little bit disruptive because she keeps sniffling the whole time.
Hacking.
Yeah, hacking and shivering under a blanket.
And then it was like, I don't know. I just think it's annoying when it's like they had this whole thing planned and then she's not going to come. Then she shows up and isn't really doing it.
And disrupts everybody else. And it's rude. It is rude.
It was rude to the lady.
Yeah. It was
this
rude
is her moment to shine on the TV.
I know, right? And she really didn't get to do... Yeah, she didn't really get to showcase what she does. But I also, just side note, I do enjoy when you're like out on a nature walk or something and everything's so quiet and then you hear the birds chirping and the rustling of the wind through the trees. Like, that is so relaxing. So that would have been nice to do. And it was disrupted by Shannon.
Yep.
At the other biscuit making event, they're kind of talking about the Shannon thing, and then Gina says something very interesting where she's talking about her drinking, and she says, why do you think I stopped drinking? Because I looked at Shannon and realized that that would be me in the future, and I don't like that. And I don't understand, like, she was trying to like say, give Shannon a break and stop, you know, being so hard about her drinking, but then her saying that,
I thought that was really rude.
But it's also the opposite of the point she's trying to make.
Like, oh, okay.
And yeah, it was really rude.
Yeah, I was like, ouch.
She's a mess. I don't want to be her.
I know.
When, like, I mean, Gina kind of showcased how she's a mess in this episode, and for a different reason. And unfortunately, back at the nature sound bath, Katie makes the poor choice to bring the paparazzi thing up again to Heather. And Heather's just like, what the heck are you doing? We shut this down. And then later, Katie gets mad about that. But, like, what are you this is a totally played out storyline.
Right.
It's just dumb that she keeps talking about it. If somebody says, hey, let's just put it behind us, why do you not want to do that?
Right. She just wants to be like, well, it wasn't me that encouraged it. It was Gina.
But that doesn't matter, and nobody cares, you know? Then they go to the fashion show, and this is where Emily shows some of her insecurities, which I did think a couple of the things were a little odd, or seemed like we didn't really have the full
She was
story.
definitely projecting onto Heather again and about her looks.
I get it, right? I mean, we've all been insecure.
Right.
But it's not Heather's fault that you feel that way.
Exactly.
Like the oversized leather jacket, that's not weird. And she gave the same one to Tamra. It's not because you have fat arms, you know? Like, I felt bad for her.
No, I know. It's like, I get it. Like, we've all been there. And some days you're like the most confident person. And then some days you just feel like a big blob. And I guess she was feeling like a big blob that day.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate.
But it's not. You can't be mad at somebody else because you feel that way.
Yeah, and then it looks like in the preview for next episode that she still is
it's like mad
about
Heather.
it. Yeah, and it's just, and that's another thing where, to me, it feels like you either privately address it in the moment, privately address it one-on-one, well, yes, that's privately, but with that friend, or you just never say anything and bitch about it to another friend.
Right.
You know, like, you just don't, it's not something that you should be bringing up to a whole group and making it this big, huge
Especially
deal.
when it's a projection.
Yeah.
Of the way you're feeling.
Right. I mean, Heather wasn't out there like, here you go, fatty.
I know. Like, gross pig.
Yeah, you're the biggest one out of everybody. Because honestly, when everybody was there together, I mean, Emily looked totally normal.
I know. Like, she looks fine. She has lost weight and has been in good shape. It's like, I don't know.
Like, we can't all be the literally, like, so petite Tamra or the Shannon that's just withering away because of stress. Yeah. So the fashion show was kind of cute. Whatever, for a good cause, fun. At one point, Tamra and Heather have a one-on-one conversation, and Tamra continues to insert herself into the drama with Katie and Gina and Heather, and she's like, well, I heard that Gina said that she's only friends with you for your real estate connections. And then Heather gets upset, and then that gets brought up later. Which, that whole thing just seemed weird to me, and it's just typical Tamra stirring the pot. At the end of the fashion...
As if Tamra's friendship with Heather isn't beneficial to Tamra.
Right. Right.
It's like, yeah, I probably do kind of believe that. Like, I'm sorry, but I want Heather Dubrow as my contact.
Well, and isn't it funny how last year Tamra did anything and everything to tear Heather down, and now this year she's her...
I'm just looking out for your best interest.
Like, come on. No, don't believe her. It was cute, though, at the speech for the fashion show, how Heather was saying about the family equality thing, and she was like, I realized that not all families are fortunate enough to have the same support that our family has, and like some kids that are going through, you know, conflicts or changes within themselves when their identities, they don't have supportive home lives. And I thought that was like a really like in touch thing for her to say, because people often say how she's, just basically in another world, which she is because she's so freaking rich. But that was really relatable and an important topic. Shannon keeps talking about Alexis and John. She just can't stop. And then at one point, they try to facilitate a conversation between Shannon and Alexis is open to it, but Shannon fully shuts it down in kind of a rude way.
Shannon gets right in Alexis's face and goes, I heard you want to talk about me.
In front of everybody.
Literally. Gets down to her level and everything like a kid. You're talking to a kid. I heard you want to have a conversation with me. I am not interested.
And then walks away.
Sashay.
And Alexis is just like, totally just like shocked.
I could not get over that. I'm like, she got right down. Her hair was like in her face.
Yeah, like leaning down.
I know, literally like 5 inches from her face, looking her dead in the eyes. Like, I'm not interested.
And then, literally she sashays away.
Literally
making
flips the hair.
Exit.
I got a plane to catch.
Whatever. And then Tamara's like, that's her choice. That's her choice. Okay, you tried.
It's almost like we knew exactly that Shannon wouldn't want to talk to Alexis about it. Oh my god!
Who could have guessed? But I thought they were going to have a nice little sit down and everything was going to go great.
No, not until they're forced to in the season finale.
And then it's going to play out again in the reunion. The next day they go bike riding, which everybody was extremely dramatic about for no reason. That's another Housewives trope that's honestly so annoying. I don't do any type of physical activity.
Well, it's like, then let's stop with the nonsense. Just take them in their cars.
Yeah.
And be done with it. Like, it's so stupid. It's not funny.
Yeah, but this whole time they're complaining about being taken in a car. They're like, couldn't we have just walked? Yeah. And then here when they're riding a bike, which I'm sure it wasn't even that far.
Right.
They're like, oh, God, what are you doing to us? I haven't ridden a bike. I ride other things, but not a bike. Like, come on. Like, it's so lame. And then basically the Heather, Katie, Gina drama comes to a head and Gina flips her lid. I mean, she is just totally
defensive mode, looking guilty, like Tamara said.
Yeah, Tamara literally stands up from the table.
So guilty.
You look guilty.
And it wasn't wrong. I'm like,
I know.
Weak.
I was thinking the same thing.
And I hate when people, like, if you're like, okay, you hurt me. Well, I have all these horrible things that are happening to me and you wouldn't understand. And it's like, okay, but that doesn't have anything to do with this.
Right. And I liked how the ladies were like, then tell us.
Right.
What's going on?
Right.
I mean, how can you be sympathetic to something when you don't know?
I know.
Like, you can't be.
Right.
It's so silly. And then the whole thing... So basically, she's just like, yo, I'm this close. She says to Katie, like, you don't know how close I am to losing everything. Sorry, Gina, but wasn't that your choice?
I know. It's like, so, yeah, did you make a bad decision? Maybe.
You didn't think it through?
Right.
Yeah, you didn't. I mean, you literally said on camera that you didn't want to spend money on Travis's kids.
Or deal with his ex problem. It's like, well, then you shouldn't.
Too much baggage.
Right. It's like, well, then you should have moved in with him in the first place. You shouldn't have created this whole life.
Yeah, like a little extra family. Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. And then the reason why she wanted him to, well, one of the reasons why she wanted to move out was because apparently it wasn't fair on the kids and there wasn't enough space, and they allegedly looked at other homes that would accommodate all of them, but they were too expensive. But now it just sounds like that was never even on the table at all.
Right. Who knows?
So I just don't understand. And like, do I think that is hard for her? Sure, but like, how is it relevant here?
I know. It's like, well, you hurt me on something completely different on that. Like,
so we're just supposed to move past the fact that I think that the truth lies somewhere in the middle here, but I do think that Gina was trying to set Katie up.
I do too. I think she wanted Heather to get called out again and thought it was going to land
and it didn't
different
land.
like it did last season.
I just think that
like I do think that's true, and I'm sure Gina probably made an offhanded comment about a contact for real estate, but
well, it's very different to say like, oh, you know, I'm only friends with her for her real estate contacts versus she's my friend and she helps me with my career.
Right.
Like
or
those
like
are two
it's not
different
a bad,
things.
or to be like, it's not a bad contact to have.
Yeah.
Elbow.
Right. But yeah, I just think that with Gina, she tries to create her own little dramatic storyline. And then when it doesn't go the way that she wanted, she like doesn't know what to do. And in this scenario, I think she kind of got called out.
I know. And then she's like, where's the proof? Which is so annoying. She's
I know.
Like, of course I don't have proof because it was a phone call conversation.
Like we don't send follow-up emails per our conversation a couple minutes ago.
I wasn't recording you like a psychopath.
Yeah. But she did look really guilty there.
I believe that happened, but I don't think she was like doing it or I don't believe she said that comment about the real estate thing evilly.
I believe she said something to the extent, but not those exact words.
Think she wouldn't have mind if Heather got heat again this season.
Yeah, because she's been making little comments this whole season about Heather.
Maybe I should just be bent over in a permanent spanking.
Like, this is what she keeps doing too.
They were funny on Watch What Crappens when they kept saying that. Heather kept being like, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. And then it was like just all the suspense. And then you knew it was like eating Gina away because it was like,
she was
have a lot to
all
say.
night long.
Thinking about what did I do? Which I do think was kind of...
It was dramatic.
It was.
But I got it. Like, it is annoying in all these other housewives things where they go to these big events and they have these huge blow-ups. You're like, are you kidding me? So, like, I do respect that
I get why she did that, but
it made it so dramatic. Yeah, to have a sit
and
down.
And we're going to talk about it tomorrow. So
we've got a lot to talk about.
Good luck sleeping tonight. And I'm not going to tell you when we're going to talk about it tomorrow, but it'll be tomorrow.
It's going to come. And then she just gets up and leaves the table.
It's like,
and Gina's left like, what?
Oh no, I'm going to get spanked again. Which, like, I get that would be, like, annoying to have to be constantly, like,
it's
reprimanded.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's also annoying because if you're so peeved about that, then don't be her friend.
Right.
But of course you want to be her friend because you love the benefits.
And this is like a fake scenario anyway, because they're not really friends. They're co-workers and blah, blah, blah.
In what world are Heather and Gina actually friends?
Heather's not friends with any of them.
They're not even in the same social circle.
With Sutton. I can't stand
the other extremely rich housewife.
Lisa Vanderpump. That's who she's friends with. It's just so silly.
I know. That's why she just should be on Beverly Hills. We said it last season. So, yeah, basically then what started as Gina being kind of raked through the coals, yet again ended up with people feeling sympathy for Gina.
Here we go.
And her crying, and then everybody saying, hey, we care about you and love you. And the other thing was with the whole Travis thing, how the heck does Gina expect Travis to feel throughout this whole thing?
I know. You broke up with me and kicked me out on camera.
I know. And how would you feel if that happened to you? I mean, you would be
terrible. It'd be confusing.
If you had like 3 kids and you meshed families, that would be so hurtful.
I know. And then to like, oh, okay. And then you're like, I made a bad decision for my kids.
Yeah. And then when he's been with her through all that crap with her ex, and then now when
it's not her drama, it's not
she can't reciprocate that at all. And she's crying to her friends and just deflecting from the real errors of her ways and making it all about like, well, my life just sucks right now. Everybody's mad at me. Like, stop. That's the most annoying thing I remember when you were like a kid and you wanted your parent to feel bad for you and you're like, well, I can't just do anything right. And it like, never worked.
You never loved me anyway.
Yeah. Like that's
you
Gina.
Never wished you had me.
That's Gina all the time.
I know, and it's just immature and like wah. It's like you can't have this conversation for your job. Like, come on.
I know. Just pull it together. So yeah, and then the previews just seems like we're gonna have a blow up with Heather and Emily, and I don't even know what else.
There's always like that stupid side fight that Emily has with Heather.
I know.
When someone else is having a fight, you're like, what are you doing?
And then it just kind of goes away.
Yeah.
And there's like, no real resolve to it. Basically the preview was just Emily being fully unhinged and yelling at Alexis and stuff too. I just, when it's warranted, like I don't like people just like yelling and berating each other, but there have definitely been moments in Housewives where I'm like, oh yeah, like that needed to happen, right. You know? But this to me just feels really over the top from Emily.
I know. It's like, what do you... So, I don't know. It would be hard for me to like go to someone's defense so hard when you don't really know the story.
I know. I would probably do that to you.
Right.
And if I knew the other half and we needed to talk about something privately, right. We might do that. But like, I still don't think I would go that
And I'm
intense.
curious to see like what prompts this.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't yell at Alexis.
Next to nothing.
Yell at the producers for having her on or in the most manipulative
casting call that they've ever made. I mean, if we just look, of course, we don't know things that are happening when the cameras aren't rolling or what they're not using or whatever. But if we just look at what we've seen thus far, I mean, I don't think that Alexis looks like a monster.
No, I don't know. I think just her existence is irking Shannon
to her core.
Yeah, so it's like, but she isn't really doing anything. She's keeping her distance.
Yeah.
She didn't end up going up to Shannon. Shannon came up to her.
Yeah. She's trying to at least get along for the sake of the group. Could that all be a facade? Sure, maybe. I don't know. She's
not really.
But couldn't anything?
I'm not saying, right. It's like, I'm not really. Yeah, like Shannon's having this huge problem with her could be fake too. Or like over the top.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I don't think it is, but it's like.
But then, like, if we question every single thing, then what's the point of this show, you know?
Right.
So if we're taking it at face value, it doesn't, like, what Alexis is doing is not warranting these reactions that we seem to be getting.
Right.
And if there's other things that she's saying off camera, then somebody should bring them up on camera.
Right.
So that we can make our full judgment. But anyway, any last thoughts?
No.
All right. Well, my recommendation is a fall favorite. And every year I forget how good it is, and that is apple butter. I love it. I know some people don't like it, but it is freaking delicious. It's good on toast. I had it with crackers.
It's so good with toast with butter and then
apple butter.
It's almost like applesauce jam
or
something.
I know, it's so good. You could even have it with some cheese on a cracker, a little charcuterie board. It's just so good. And you could bake with it if you wanted, put it in like muffins or something. Yeah, it was so good. And the crackers I had were like those buttery crackers, like the saltiness of that with the apple butter. Oh my God. So good. I got mine from Trader Joe's, but I like when you get it at like a farmer's market or an orchard or something too.
I got one that's caramel apple butter, but I haven't opened it up yet.
Yum, that sounds
at
good.
Aldi's.
Ooh, yum. Love that.
And I was just going to recommend Letterboxd.
All right.
Get on there, even though we're ripping it up. But we want to get good people on there and getting good reviews and having good community.
Yeah. And people who agree with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to say before, because I was going to say about our book club, don't forget, but did you see how Kelly Bishop came out with a book, The Third Gilmore Girl? Because she's the mom in Gilmore Girls, and I put a hold on it because I think it just got released like yesterday or something, and I had it saved in my Libby app, and I literally got in not even 5 minutes after I got the notification. I was already 45th in line. So I don't know how people do that so fast, but I think it'll be a good book. I don't know a ton of roles that Kelly Bishop has been in besides Gilmore Girls and Dirty Dancing. She was also the mom in Dirty Dancing, Baby's mom. But I think that'll be an interesting read. I like a mature perspective of the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I have done, I can't remember the mom's name, Lorelei's name in real life.
Oh, yeah.
I've done one of her books. It was like called, maybe I did 2 of them. She had like a couple. And she wrote a fiction book.
I didn't know that.
But the one book was like called Talking as Fast as I Can or something. And I was like, that's kind of funny.
That is funny. Lauren Graham, isn't it?
Yeah, Lauren Graham.
Yeah.
But it was because I just would like here and there watch Gilmore Girls. So it was definitely more for Gilmore Girl fan.
Yes, I was a Gilmore Girls fan. But then when you see that with adult eyes,
You're like,
you have a
Rory
completely
was
different perspective.
horrible.
Yes, and watching A Year in the Life really took it out of me.
Like, you know what?
Yeah, I literally couldn't like even stomach it. Like her behavior was just so horrible. And it makes me wonder, did the writers know what they were doing?
I know you wonder, like, was that the point?
Yeah, that like as a teen or a kid, you're totally going to side with Rory
Right.
and everything that Lorelai does. And you're like, no, they're just independent women and they're cool. And what was her name again? I can't think of it. Kelly Bishop's, the grandma. I can't think of her name, but she was just awful. Richard and Emily. They're just terrible and they don't support them. But now, you know what? You look at it as an adult and you're like, they were both spoiled brats and they didn't respect anything that they were trying to give them. And look at how they made horrible mistakes. Now, I think that Lorelai was fine. She was just kind of rebellious and, you know, whatever. She ended up still kind of having a okay relationship with her mom. But Rory, I just cannot. There were so many signs throughout the seasons of I don't even want to say mistakes, horrible choices that Rory made. Horrible, morally corrupt choices that she made. And I'm just like, you got away with it. And I could not
Talk
rewatch.
about white privilege.
Yeah. I couldn't rewatch that show. Like, I see clips on TikTok and it just like irks me so much. I couldn't rewatch it.
I know, it used to kind of like annoy me, but I would like kind of be, and then I'm like, I gotta turn it off. I don't know. It was like the theme song was Nails on a Chalkboard, and just the
on your own.
but and the like the chattering between the two
Oh
of
yeah,
them
the
was
constant.
like too much.
Yeah, but let's not forget that this is where we first saw Milo.
Right.
Then to Majila. I don't
want to butcher it.
But Jess, my first true love.
And like just the aesthetic of the show is really cool too.
I know,
like
everybody's
fall-y
like Gilmore
and-
Girls fall. I will say they did a great job with all that. And it was the first time we really saw McCarthy.
Yeah. Melissa
McCarthy as Suki. Yeah. So pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, I think Kelly Bishop will have I wonder if she'll like talk about that kind of stuff in the book.
Well, Lauren Graham did not. She let it all, the magic, she let it all be there.
I think Kelly Bishop might be a little bit more like, real.
Well, yeah, no, she was like, I will not ruin this magic for you.
Like, I can respect that,
I know, I
guess.
can too, especially because there's been so many times where like, yeah, well, you like that show too damn bad because I was treated like garbage.
Rip it
You're
apart.
Like, oh,
yeah.
gosh.
And you could still have a fine time on set. Like, I don't think that like Alexis Bledel was actually a terror.
Right.
But like, can we just be honest about her character, please?
Right.
Like A Year in the Life.
Like were
just,
you annoyed by
yeah, all you have to do is watch A Year in the Life and you tell me that you're still on Rory's side. Like, please, I dare you. I dare you to do that. Anyway, but for our book club, we're not listening to that book because who knows when I will even get that. We are listening to Rebel Wilson's book, Rebel Rising. So make sure that you're listening along if you were one of the fortunate ones to go on a wait list 3 months ago and now you're able to run it and read it. But yeah, we'll talk about that sometime later this month or early October. And don't forget to follow us, rate us, review us, tell friends, spread the word. Just love us, please. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.